Good morning, good afternoon, and or good evening. You are watching Nub's Collection, a YouTube series dedicated to the cataloging and review of every game of my physical media collection. As always, I am your host, Victor Nub, and today we are looking at Star Fox, developed by Nintendo's Entertainment Analysis and Development Division, or Nintendo EAD for short, as well as Argonaut Software, published by Nintendo, of course, and released in the United States on March 26th of 1993. So this is a game that I've been looking forward to doing an episode on for a very long time now, for a couple of different reasons. One, the more important historically reason for my interest in looking at this game is the importance to the history of not only the console, the Super Nintendo, but also kind of games in general that Star Fox represents. We'll go into that in a couple of minutes here, but also just a little personal detail on my own expansion or appreciation for video games and the design of them as a result of some things that I attempted with this video game when it came out, and we'll go into that as I start playing the game. Star Fox is most famous for being the first game to use the Super FX chip. In fact, the Super FX chip was designed specifically to meet the needs of the polygonal-based gameplay of Star Fox. Argonaut Software had initially been tapped by Nintendo in the late 1980s to develop games and prototypes for both the NES and the SNES. The design of Star Fox was inspired by Argonaut's games Starglider and Starglider 2, which were released on home computers in 1986 and 1988, respectively. Specifically, I think a lot of people remember this from the Atari ST, but again, it came out on quite a few of the personal home PCs back in the late 80s, so it's possible you could have played them on a variety of different systems or PCs that it was released on. Jeremy Jez San, who was the founder of Argonaut Software, argued with Nintendo at the time that they were developing this game that the Super Nintendo was underpowered for the needs of the game that they were developing, and asked permission to design custom hardware to boost the power of the SNES, specifically for processing 3D objects like the Arwing that you see spinning around on the title screen here. Nintendo agreed, and San hired a team of chip designers to make the Super FX chip, which became the first 3D-specific graphics accelerator in the consumer a consumer product. That's kind of why this particular game is so important. The Super FX chip was supposedly more powerful than the Super Nintendo's own processor, which resulted in higher manufacturing costs for the cartridges that utilized them. The games that used the chip also retailed for a higher MSRP than other games in the SNES library. I don't specifically remember that because the way that I got this game, and we've gone over it in the past on other episodes of Nub's Collection, was during a Christmas when my parents had gotten a bonus because they worked for the federal government, and the mid-90s were kind of a boom time for the economy. And this was one of many games that I received on what I call historically the Christmas of too many video games. And the reason why we ended up getting so many games, and by we I mean me, for Christmas that year, is the fact that we had gone to a KB Toys and they were selling a whole bunch of Super Nintendo games for really cheap. So my mom was like, pick the ones you want. That's not really how you're supposed to do Christmas, but she knew I like video games, and she let me just kind of pick out, I think it was 8 games that we ended up, or I ended up getting for Christmas that year. And Star Fox was absolutely one of them. In total, only 8 games would actually make use of the Super FX chip, to include Star Fox, Dirt Racer, Dirt Tracks FX, Stunt Race FX, Vortex, Doom, Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, or just Yoshi's Island, depending on who you talk to, and Winter Gold. There were also 6 other games that were in development at some point to use the chip but went unreleased, including Star Fox 2, which actually was shelved by Nintendo due to concerns over the superior 3D graphical capabilities of both the Sega Saturn and Sony PlayStation, which were released in the mid to late 90s. And this game came out in 93, and I think Star Fox 2 came out in 95, 96, or was going to, I should say. The game did eventually, this is Star Fox 2, the game did eventually see a release as part of the Super Nintendo Classic Edition library, that little mini console that was released in 2017. And it is now available as part of the Nintendo Switch Online catalog. So you can actually play Star Fox 2 even though it never actually released to a commercial market. Development of Star Fox was a split project between Argonaut and Nintendo. Argonaut worked on the base programming for the game engine, while Nintendo handled the character and art design. In the documentary High Score, programmers Dylan Cuthbert and Niles, I'm not sure how you say his name, Goddard, detailed their work on the game, including moving to Kyoto to work on the game with Nintendo, and that their office was remote from the rest of the studio to maintain the confidentiality of other projects that Nintendo had been working on at that time. They also cited receiving regular advice and feedback from Shigeru Miyamoto, who not only suggested the use of animals for the main characters, but supposedly, and I have nothing to refute this, Miyamoto was the one who created the puppets that were used as the primary artwork for the game itself. So if you've ever seen a copy of the original Star Fox, either the box or the game cartridge itself, the Fox McCloud that's on the cover of the box is a puppet, and supposedly Miyamoto himself made it. This would also explain Nintendo's revisiting of the use of puppets in later years in subsequent game announcements. Remember, there was a rather famous one, I think it was in Iwata Asks, where Miyamoto, Iwata, and another gentleman were walking down a hallway, and then slowly, as the camera did a couple of tricks, turned into hand puppets, and then eventually into Star Fox puppets, because I believe it was a Star Fox announcement. That's kind of the root origin of that, is the fact that they used puppets for the artwork for this game. The design of the Arwing, meanwhile, was, which is the ship that the Fox team in this game uses, was meant to be an homage to the X-Wing design from Star Wars. And you can see that in the design of the wings, where there's little fins that kind of go up at an angle, and then the larger portion of the wings go down at an angle, and they kind of form the shape of an X. So that was all the game notes I had for this. Let's go ahead and do the story setup. The story section for this game is simply called Background Story, Origin of the Lylatian Conflict. I'm not sure how you say that word. The Lylat solar system, located near the center of the Milky Way galaxy, is made up of several bountiful planets. No fewer than 3 of these worlds were home to civilizations teeming with industrious inhabitants. The other planets in the system provided boundless natural resources. The comfortable lifestyle enjoyed by the Lylatians, I'm not sure how you say that, was the envy of the galaxy, until the coming of the evil Emperor Andross. Emperor Andross was once known as Dr. Andross, a scientific genius who worked at an advanced lab on Corneria, the 4th planet in the Lylat system. Ever since his childhood, Andross's brilliance outshone that of other children. As an adult, Dr. Andross began developing a powerful engine based on hyperspatial energy. Selfish and blinded by ambition, he repeatedly conducted dangerous experiments in the heart of Corneria's most populated city. After many warnings from the planet's ruling council, he was finally banished from the planet for endangering the inhabitants of Corneria. Out of sight, out of mind. The inhabitants of Corneria soon forgot the menace of Dr. Andross, and that's in quotes. I don't know why they needed to quote it. He's still a doctor. At least I hope that's how it works in the Lylat system. One day, however, Corneria's small defense force detected some unusual happenings on Venom, the first planet of the Lylat system. Strange, unidentified flying objects were monitored maneuvering above the planet in large numbers. It was not long before the self-appointed Emperor Andross, who had fled to Venom, declared war on Corneria. The planet Venom had been completely remade by Emperor Andross into a gigantic military base. Andross hoped that with his military power, he could soon control all of the planets in the Lylat system. General Pepper, not to be confused with Sergeant Pepper, the commanding officer of Corneria's defense force, decided to dispatch the super high-performance combat ship Arwing, all in capital letters, to the defense of the planet, even though it was in the prototype stage of development. Because of the urgency of the threat to Corneria, however, he did not have time to train pilots for these advanced fighters. We need the Star Fox team. This is the second section of the story setup. Very small, though. Don't worry if you're getting impatient. This is the call sent out by General Pepper. You are Fox McCloud, leader of the Star Fox team, a group of adventurers with outstanding combat skill. Your mission is to penetrate the defenses of the planet Venom and defeat the forces led by Emperor Andross. Your ability to maneuver the Arwing fighter will make the difference between the return of peace to the Lylat system and the fall of Corneria to the evil Emperor. As team leader, you are also responsible for the safe return of your Star Fox teammates. That's it. That's the whole story. That one was a little bit long, a little bit wordy. It seems like it went into some details that we really didn't need about the character setup. Important to note, and I'm not sure why they included this detail, and I usually get some of my background information on games from Wikipedia. Apparently, the reason why they chose to make the lead character of this game a fox and Andross, who they don't mention anywhere in the instruction manual, and as far as I know in the game, an ape, or specifically a monkey, is because there apparently is a popular expression in Japan regarding people getting into arguments and fighting like foxes and monkeys. I don't understand the phrase. I'm sure if someone is from Japan, they can leave a message in comments explaining that one, but that supposedly is the origin of the character choices they made in the case of animals that they used for the hero and villain character in the game. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. It's been a very long time since I've played this game, so if I do terrible, I apologize. We're not going to be doing the medium or hard tracks. We're probably going to be following the easy track, if I remember how to do that. I'm going to be quiet here. The intro is awesome. All right, so very important. I don't like having pressing down go up and pressing up go down, so we're going to change that to Control-C because it lets me go up and down by pressing up and down because I am a normal human being and not a pilot, and this isn't a control stick I'm using. It's a D-pad, so anyone who disagrees with that choice, suck it up, Buttercup. You're going to have to watch me play it the quote-unquote wrong way in this version of the game, or this view of the game. We don't need no stinking training. We're going to play the game. So one of the things that I really like about this game, and we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, you do get to choose. So this is the medium difficulty one. This is the easy difficulty one. And this is the hard one. We're going to go ahead and do the easy one for this playthrough. And I think, depending on some choices you make during the gameplay, you can actually pivot to one of the harder ones. Gates will appear that'll allow you to go to different worlds, and they allow you to do some cool things. I don't think we're going to do any of that. I think we're going to try to stick to the straight path to the final encounter. If I can, I'm going to try to beat the game today. I can't promise that that's going to be the case, but we're going to give it our best shot. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. One of the things I always liked about this game is I think it has fantastic music. I always love that little sound. Star Fox team, our last resort is to counter-attack Venom. Good luck. And I think when you hit start, you even hear a little good luck. I'm going to be quiet in the intro here because I really enjoy the intro portion of this particular game.
Good luck.
There it is.
Emergency, 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 emergency.
still cool. I gotta be honest, it's still cool. I like the intro. I get it. The polygon graphics are not aging terribly well, but, you know, you got to keep in mind that some of these things were just... They were ahead of their time when they came out, and maybe they're not so great these days. But, yeah, I still find that very entertaining, the intro there. So obviously the game plays kind of in an on-rails fashion because you are flying left or... Uh-oh. Good lord. I'm already botching. Yes, I saw you, Toad. Slippy? Whatever his name is. Alright, we definitely want that. Ow, 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 ow! That is a boost to our damage potential. You do get bonuses for completing... Uh-oh, I missed it. As many of the targets as possible, taking minimum damage. There are things you can destroy all over the place in the game here. Oh. Oh, sorry. Whatever. By the way, you can shoot your teammates in this game, but apparently it does no damage. I remember that not being the case. I remember you actually having... Alright, dude, I'm not gonna let you do all the work. We're a team. I gotta do as much as I can to help us win. So one of the things that sticks out in my memory about this game, and the reason why I consider it so personally important, is the fact that this is the game that I first experienced a game in stereo sound playing. Now, that's going to make me sound like I'm 100 years old, but hear me out. There's a reason for that. If you had a Nintendo or a Super Nintendo as a kid, odds are you played it just like I did, which is that you played the game with... Come on, fly through the thing. Got it. You played the game on a TV using an RF adapter. And what the RF adapter was it simply sent the video and audio feed to your TV via simple radio frequency. Get out of here. I got your back. Oh, screw off, Falco. He's always such a dick. That was kind of the de facto way to experience the console back in the day, was to plug it into your TV with an RF switch or an RF adapter on the back of your TV. And then you would have to set the TV to channel 3 or channel 4 in order to play the game. Well, there was a little article that came out in Nintendo Power, and at the time, Nintendo was battling Sega for dominance in the market. Sega Genesis was being marketed as the young, hip console at the time, and Nintendo was the kid or baby's console. Now, technologically speaking, the Sega Genesis was actually weaker than the Super Nintendo, but you know, no one really cares about that anymore. It's more about the games, not the capability of the system itself, that matters. The article that came out was released in '95 that I'm talking about, and it was referring to... Uh-oh. Yeah, I can dodge or block some of these, and I'm not doing a very good job of it. The article that came out was about how to, quote-unquote, play it loud, and this was released in the January 1995 bonus issue of Nintendo Power. It came out at the turn of the year, so it was obviously a special occasion. Nintendo liked to make special articles for their games, or for their magazine, rather, at the turn of the year, and for subscribers only, they usually stuck little special things in there, like they made a special cover for this particular issue of the magazine where the ink on the cover was done to glow in the dark. If you closed or turned off the lights in your room, there was a big 95 on the cover that would stick out. The marketing campaign that Nintendo was taking on at the time was called Play It Loud. They were trying to catch the edgier, hip teen market for their consoles, so they had to market everything as Play It Loud as part of their push to draw in an older audience. Asteroid Belt. Andross's forces intend to build a base in this area to destroy their rock crusher. Okay. So the article in the magazine that I'm talking about, one of the things that it was pushing heavily was to make full use of the technology available on the Super Nintendo to maximize the visual and audio components of your console. The way they did so is they pointed out that most people, like me at the time, probably played the game or the console hooked up to the TV using an RF adapter, which is true. That is how I actually did it back in the day. One of the things that they mentioned in the article is that you could improve the quality of the image by using the composite cables that they included with the console. If you don't know what I'm talking about, somehow that's still too archaic for you and you have no idea what I'm talking about. Instead of a single coaxial connection on the back of your TV, there was a multi-out port that was on the back of the Super Nintendo, and it had 3 outs. It had a single video cable, and it had 2 audio cables, red and white, for the left and right audio channels. So part of the article is telling you how to improve the video quality by using the composite cable for the video feed, and also how to use the audio correctly. At the time, I had a small TV in my bedroom. It was an Emerson, I'm going to say it was like a 13 or 14-inch television. And it had, on the back of it, a small connection for the composite plugins. Part of that was because I believe the TV, if it didn't have a VCR component to it, it gave you the ability to plug in a VCR. And I had never actually used the composite for anything. I had gotten the TV as a gift for, if it wasn't Christmas, it was my birthday one year, to put in my own bedroom so that I wasn't bogarting the television when I wanted to play video games. That was something that my parents were trying to get me away from, was taking up the television, the family television, in the living room. All right, good, we got the save point. And they gave me a TV that I could put in my bedroom, and it was tiny, itty-bitty. We've talked about it in the past. I believe that the TV that I had is probably about as big, if not slightly bigger than most phones, the large phones that you can get nowadays. And I have a feeling that it's probably not as far off as I think it is, but anyway, the TV was mine, and that's all that I cared about. So, in addition to having a TV, and TVs back in the day had, for the most part, mono audio. So it was one speaker on the television, and even if you had a stereo capability from your cable box or a VCR or whatever you had plugged into it, you probably didn't get advantage of the stereo audio. And that was certainly the case with my experience with video games. I had a stereo that I was given by one of my sisters. The stereo had composite inputs on the back of it. It was a tape deck. Another dating myself type situation where I'm pointing out that the stereo that I was given was meant to be listening to cassette tapes. In fact, I may have even had the capability of plugging in a record player. That's how old it was. But somehow it still had the necessary components to listen to a composite audio plugin. So, after reading this article and realizing I still had the plug, the composite plug from the Super Nintendo that came in the box, I said, well, I think I have the ability to plug in all this stuff. In order to make it work with the stereo, I had to split the composite cabling so the left and right audio channel went directly to the stereo. However, the video component obviously had to go to the TV because they didn't really have great pass-through between those two. The stereo that I had wasn't really designed for that kind of data to go through to a TV. But I plugged in the audio, and the first game that I played after doing this was Star Fox. What I ended up doing was, the stereo that I had 2 little bookshelf speakers that were separate from the stereo that you could set wherever you wanted in the room to kind of expand the way that the audio worked. And I set them on either side of my head. And the layout of the room, which I think a lot of kids from the 90s can probably relate to, is I didn't have a chair. I had a desk that the TV went on, so I laid on the floor looking up at the TV, and I just set the speaker on either side of my head. And I played the game from the intro. And I was very quiet when we played the intro there so that you could get a feel for the audio as you begin the game and you have that big emergency launch of all the Arwings out of the home base. That was a mind-blowing experience the first time I experienced it, because there's audio coming from the left and right, and it's not the same audio. It's like, real life. You're hearing audio in 3 dimensions. There's stuff coming from each direction that it's supposed to per what's happening on screen. It was transformative. It gave me an appreciation for audio in video games that I had never experienced before. And it turns out this was absolutely the right game to experience that for the first time with, because the audio in this game is really good. It's still good today. And I think that's going to go in the good column when we get to the score for this particular game. The Andross Space Armada. The Space Armada, I didn't get a chance to talk. They just started the level. Whatever. So in the space levels, you're still on rails, obviously, but you do have the option of going into a first-person piloting mode, which is why it keeps cutting back in and all you see is a reticle here. I think once we get over a planet, you actually go back to a third-person view, and I don't know if you can go into the cockpit on the planet levels. I think you get stuck doing whatever they give you. Oh, an extra life. Yes. I don't know if you can damage the ship. Yes, you can. Get out of here! I got him. Important to note, and thankfully this hasn't happened yet, but who knows, it may happen at some point in the level here. If you actually get hit too many times in the wing, or the wing clips an object or an enemy ship too much, you can actually lose the wing. It will not only affect the maneuverability or handling of the ship itself, but also it will make it so that your weapon upgrades will go away. Very cool. That particular entrance always makes me think of Weird Science, the part where they're supposedly navigating a computer system in order to make the perfect female, as outdated and possibly sexist as the idea of that movie was. That was a component of the beginning of the movie when they're trying to make Lisa. It was very colorful and very weird, and they had a part where someone got super spooked, and it was because there was like a skull in this computer program they were using. I don't get what that had to do with anything. The 80s and their ideas on how computers worked were very strange. Although I don't know if the 90s did much better. Alright, save point. Come on, get these. Get out of here. So, the reality of this game and the technology is, yes, it does look very old still. And it is a little bit choppy, because you're talking about a game that has polygon graphics on a system that was never really meant to have them, and it had to use a special add-on chip in the cart to produce them, but it looks pretty good to me still. I mean, if you're a graphics snob who needs 60 frames a second to be happy with how a game performs, obviously you're probably not loving what you're seeing right now, but it still plays fine. Also, one of the things that I have not been doing, and I really need to, is I have bombs, and I can use them to help damage enemies or clear screens when things get a little bit too intense. We're going to do that against the boss, because I have 5 of them now. Get out of here, jerk. I think we're coming up on the boss. I think it's that big ship in the bottom, or the right side of the screen there. Whoa. So, at least from an audio standpoint, my experience of, connecting my stereo to the Super Nintendo and experience stereo sound for the first time in a video game was kind of an eye-opening, revolutionary moment for me in the history of playing video games. As far as visually, I don't know if I felt the same way about the picture of the console when I changed to composite. It was probably better, but it wasn't like life-changingly better. I would say the bigger revolutionary moment for me in terms of the audio or visual experience, at least, would have been when I got the first HD TV that I bought. And that would have been, oh Lord, 2007, 2008. It was right around the time that the PlayStation 3 had come out. And I got it, and the first game that I ended up playing with that particular TV would have been Assassin's Creed. Oh! Oh! Enemies! Ooh, good. Health pickups. Nice. And we'll go into that story when I play Assassin's Creed, I'm sure. The thing that stuck out to me, when I first played the game on an HD TV was the fact that the whites on that particular screen were just unbelievably bright. Like, blew me out of my chair bright. And this is because the TV that I was using was actually a DLP television, which tended to have very bright whites on the TV. Now, when you talk about whites on televisions these days, you're probably talking about HDR, which is pushing a truer black and also a much brighter white image with the screen. Let's get over the other side. All right, 2 down, 3 down. Target the center. Fire bomb. Oh, look at that big damage, and it's over. That easy, kids. Yeah, I should have been using my bombs against the bosses all along. You can't technically use them to clear the screen in this game if you have a bunch of smaller enemies. I don't know if it works on every minor enemy in the game, but I mean, from what I know, it does serious damage to everything it hits. Again, the easy levels of this game are pretty doable. So if you ever want to go back to this game, you're not going to lose your mind, rip your hair out in frustration with it. 96, not bad. Have I gotten any extra lives from points yet? I don't think I have. How far are we from the finish? Oh, we got 2 more levels. All right. And then I think Venom has multiple stages, if I'm not mistaken, because I think there's a space approach, then you get to the planet, and then you get to the final fight with the boss, Andross, obviously. The Battle Base Meteor. Be sure to use your retros if you're going too fast. Be careful with my Arwings. Okay, jerk. We're trying to save the planet. He's worried about whether or not a handful of ships get destroyed. If that's what you're basing your entire planetary defense on is 4 ships, your planetary defense strategy is flawed.
Good luck.
Not even big command ships. We're talking like little fighters. Whoa! That got a little bit too close for comfort. I will say, there is no fog in this game. Get forward a little bit. I don't need you right up in my face there, Fox. You can press select to change the distance from the camera that your ship is. Yoink, don't need that. I already have max. You can only upgrade your shots twice in this game. Well, the first one gives you a double shot, and the second pickup just makes it these blue balls that I'm shooting instead of laser beams. Again, if I was being a little more thoughtful, I'd probably, instead of dodging the shots, just do a little barrel roll, because you can reflect laser beams doing that. But I was never good about that when I played the game originally. Probably because I didn't realize you could do that. Get that extra life! I will say, although it's not perfect, the sense of depth on the screen is pretty good. It's not perfect. That's something I think early 3D graphics always struggled with, is the sense of depth that you could convey in a video game, especially if there weren't shadows. This game does have crude shadows for your main ship. I don't know if I've seen any for any of the enemy crafts. Those towers certainly aren't showing any. Oh, sorry. Oh, no, you jerks. I didn't lose a wing, at least. So what they want you to do there, and I haven't been using this at all, is you actually have the ability to boost your ship as well as slow it down. If you hit B on the controller, you slow down. And you can see in the bottom right there, that's your speed meter. And then if you press X, you can just do a little bitty boost. We're not going to bother with either of those because I don't need anything. Not worth the trouble. Okay, calm down. I used to know all the names of the characters, but I can't remember his name. Peppy? No, that's the frog. I don't remember the rabbit's name. I think everyone knows Falco's name because he's the jerk you could play in... Oh, why am I doing that? Yeah, do this. Get him. Now, you gotta be careful here because this will actually... The ship will actually fly towards you. Here he comes. Here he comes. No! Stay away! And I don't remember what you gotta do to destroy his legs. It may just be you have to go through a couple rounds of this. There it goes. I was right. Oh, I didn't fire it right. Alright, do this. Nope, that didn't hit. Oh. Careful. I want to make it through this run without dying a single time. Oh, no, you don't. I said, oh, no, you don't. Ouch. I'd be happy if I could make it through this entire play without losing a wing. That'd be amazing. See ya. An important detail that they added to the game, but it's not as much of an issue in the easy difficulty, is that if you don't defend your teammates while they're being shot at by enemy craft, they can actually lose some of their shields. And if at any point they lose all their shields and get destroyed, they're done. They're out of the run for the rest of the game. They don't come back magically. Interesting little detail they put in there. Bonus credits, so there are continues I can earn. All right, here we go. Final level. Venom, the final goal. Andross is waiting on Venom. Fox, you must find his core brain and destroy it. You mean his regular brain because he is a living, breathing person and not a machine? Alright, so I was right. You do start with a space portion, and I'm fairly certain you go back down to the planet after this first portion. In fact, I think it happens in level. There is no separate level that you go to. Little missiles. I know that the second game focused more on planetary defense than assault, which is kind of what the core of this gameplay is. You go out, you go attack enemy territory and shoot down enemy ships. In the second game, it's more about flying above Corneria and defending against attacks that Andross would have sent, including a lot of missiles, apparently. Huge component of that, I guess, was probably inspired by Missile Command. I'll be honest, all I have done with Star Fox 2 is read about it. I have not actually played the game yet. Oh, I'll take a bomb. Yes. I'll take 2 bombs. Nice. Yeah, give me 3 or 4 bombs. I would appreciate that. Now, one of the cool things about this game that we did not see, and I think I actually intentionally avoided it because I didn't want to accidentally trigger the secret ending. There is actually a secret path you can take, and I believe it takes you to the black hole. And depending on certain steps that you follow when you get there, you can actually make it so that you see a secret ending that involves like a slot machine that you can keep pulling the trigger on over and over and get like a special message from the developers. It's been a very long time since I've done it, but basically what it involves is in the second level there is like a little tunnel that the game kind of teases you with. And if you actually go through the tunnel and you successfully hit all the subsequent little tunnels that pop up after that first one, you hit a special warp and you go to the black hole area of the map to see this secret area. You don't have to do it. It's just a neat little bonus, but if you do that, you don't get to the final end of the game, as far as I recall. So it's one of those things that if you're just trying to look at the standard run of the game, you probably don't want to do it. He's going to split in 3! I think it's been a while. I can't remember how many it does. I think it's 3. Whoa, 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 whoa! You're so close to death. Oh, I gotta be careful. All those missiles keep hitting me. Got him. See ya! Oh, I guess you do it as the same, or separate levels. Yeah. These guys who barely contribute and I have to keep saving their asses, they're all like, oh yeah, no sweat. Easy. This is all that he has? 100%. I don't know what the difference in the score there is. I believe the criteria is based on how many ships you destroy, but I don't know for certain. Music gets really intense here, and then they have a whole bunch of weird tricks that they do. Gotta make sure you pick the right path when you go through those. Go low. They're gonna throw a whole bunch of those in at some point. Again, really, the important part on the easy run as far as getting the teammates or keeping the teammates alive is really just about your score at the end. Oh, I don't want to do that. I want to go this way. Yes. Oh, I want you to turn so I can grab this. Go the other way, please. Thank you. All right, we're fine. We're fine. That is not a one-hit kill if you actually get hit by those. It does damage your ship, but you keep flying. Because reasons. You're fine. It's a good thing my shots don't destroy your ship, buddy. Ow, you jerk. Big hits. I need one of those repair things. And perfect. Perfect. Whoa, that came out of nowhere. These you can destroy. I don't remember if they tip. Doesn't look like they do. Oh, whoa! Oh, but they do chase. Alright, I might want to turn sideways here. Just to increase my chances of dodging. Shoulder buttons let you turn your ship on its side, in addition to doing the little trick where you can do a barrel roll and kind of deflect some enemy shots. Gotta be careful here. Again, since I've already gotten the max upgrades for my... What? Oh, why did I do that? No! I've already got the max upgrade for my weapon, so that really didn't help me any. Might have given me a couple of points, but we're on the last level of the game, so I don't know how important the points are. What I really needed to do was not take hits at the very end here. Nice shot. Alright, found the ship. And he's gone. See ya. That was easy. Duck! I think you can get hit by him when he does that. Big boss, and he can stomp you. Oh! Oh, I didn't dodge in time. Alright, that did a little damage. Got the health. Cool. Oh, give me that health. Give me that health. Yeah! Good, 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 good. Ow! Shoot! Oh, I missed another chance for health. No! I want to save some bosses for Andross, because I remember it being very projectile heavy. Ouch. Ouch, 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 ouch. No, 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 no. I need to start deflecting. There we go. I think I deflected 1, 2, 3. I think it's just the laser beams, the little plasma balls. I don't think you can deflect, but I don't remember. I really don't want to have to redo this boss fight with my base weapon. That would not be good. Oh, crap. Got him. I hope I get some health before the final boss fight. I don't. Oh, this sucks. Alright, so the game kind of puts you in autopilot in this part. Okay, maybe there's some health going down this tunnel. Oh, there you go. The one time you see Andross in the entire game. Give me health, please. It did. Good. A lot of health, too. Oh. Dodge left, dodge right. I'm dyslexic. That's not the direction. Alright. Final fight. And if you're creeped out by weird-looking polygonal faces, this level is probably going to weird you out. Look at that face. Look at it. You got to shoot the eyes in this fight. Now, depending on... Oh, no, no, no! Depending on the way that you got to this fight, if you did one of the easy levels versus one of the hard ones, the waves and the challenge of the fight is actually different. It's the same boss, the same level when you get here, depending on the difficulty, but I think they actually changed some aspects of the fight if you go medium or hard for the final fight of the game. Or for the entire game, I should say. I believe there is some guidance of damage, or guidance of the little pieces that he shoots out of his mouth. If you start left and then sweep right slowly, eventually the pieces will kind of aim in your direction. So start here, pieces kind of go in that direction first, and then you swing over to the other side, and there it's pretty clear. Ooh. Alright, one eye is out. I need to pop the other eye. Come on, get him! Oh, so close! Taking some heavy hits, though. Alright, we're gonna go here first. This is probably a mistake. Whoop. Oh, I don't like this. Shoot, 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 shoot. No, he's gonna get his body back. That's your one and only shot, and then he reforms and gets both eyes back. You can do it on the first try. I have done it before. I know it's a thing that you can pull off. I think if you don't hit the retro thrusters when you do this level before he stops sucking in, you actually can get sucked in or damaged in some way. Been a long time, can't remember for certain. Alright, second try. Gotta get him, gotta get him. Come on, get him, get him, get him, get him, get him. Got him! That's game! Whew, was not sure that that was going to be something we could do in a fairly short period of time, but it's been a long time since I played the game. Alright, let's let the finish play out. I don't think I have to control anything here. I think it's on auto. Yeah, it's on autopilot. How about that? Not only did I beat the game in an episode of Nub's Collection without dying, I didn't even lose a wingtip. And that would have severely hampered my ability to finish the game. You don't get to see excellence that supreme on this channel very often. More often than not, it's me getting to level 3 and then getting pissed because the game gets too difficult. I don't know if there's much else to the cinematic. I think you just get a little panorama of the ships that survived, because obviously if all of your teammates got destroyed, it would just be pivoting around you at this point. But all of my teammates are present and accounted for, and I don't think any of them took any damage. Oh, final scores. So I got a 99 on 1, not bad, 100% on 2. 3 was a little iffy because I was missing some targets. 4 was pretty rough, good lord. 5 was perfect, come on, perfect for 6! It wasn't perfect for 6. That's fine. I think they give you a final game score as well, don't they? I don't think I can shoot these. This isn't Super Smash Brothers, the credits where you get to shoot things. One last panorama before they all hit the gas and fly back home.
Cornelia.
This is Corneria. Pepper speaking. Congratulations on a job well done.
Roger. I'm heading back to Corneria.
One of the rare early instances of voice on a video game, especially in the 90s. Takes up a lot of space in the data section of the cart. All right, so that was our look at Star Fox. Let's go ahead and do the review phase. We'll go ahead and do a round of the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good is, if I hadn't already extolled the virtues of it, I think the audio is fantastic in this game. It's tense, moody, kind of the antithesis of the kind of design that Nintendo was going for, even as early as the mid-90s. Whereas nowadays, most of the games are colorful and designed for kids, and even the scary parts are kind of childish in the way that they're scary. This game is tense and gritty, and there's a sense of danger as the music plays out in some of these levels, especially against the bosses. They did a really great job with the soundtrack, and I don't know who we should give the credit to for that. I don't know if it's Nintendo or if it's Argonaut Software, but just a fantastic soundtrack. Now, it's not like hitting the highest of high notes as far as the instruments used. It's very much a synthesizer-produced kind of soundtrack, but it's still great. It holds up. The voice samples, the very small amount of voice samples that occur in the game, very nice touch. They sound clear enough that you can actually understand what they're saying. That was always an issue with games back in the early days of, video games, where the audio had to be so severely compressed or altered to fit on the cartridge that they were put on, or disc or whatever, that sometimes it was very hard to actually make out what they were saying. You would play the audio and then you just kind of go, I think I know what he said, but here that was not the case. You could very easily tell what they were saying. The graphics, I mean, they work. Is probably the nice way to put it. Gameplay-wise, it's a lot of fun going through these levels. I didn't find any parts necessarily unfair or poorly balanced, even though I was playing on easy, obviously. I chose the easy path to get to the end of the game. As far as the weapon upgrades, there's not a ton of them. You can only hit the one little pickup in the game for your weapon upgrade to go from a single laser beam shot to a double laser beam shot, and then from double laser beams to double plasma balls. They did, if you did take damage in the game to one of your wings, they did give you a pickup that you could run through that would actually cover your ship and repair one of the wings. I think they might have had some other areas of the game that you could do it as well. I'm not 100% on that. Again, they had secret areas you could go to. That's always a fun plus. They didn't have to put that in the game, but they did. It certainly adds an element of mystery to a very otherwise straightforward game. The fact that you can... Ooh, a lot of slowdown there. You can... if you find a certain little conveniently placed ring of rocks, you fly through that, and then the next pair of rocks or ring of rocks and so forth. You find a secret room where you have a bunch of little fun, developers' secret tricks that you can do to play around in the space that they created. They offer multiple difficulties, which is a nice touch for a video game in-game. And it's not like, well, you can have 3 different paths, but the difficulty settings in the menu, so if you pick hard, it's hard no matter which one you follow. No, if you want the easy path, here's the easy path. If you want the medium path, here's the medium path, and it's a different game. You pick the hard path, it's a different game there as well. I like the design of that. I think that was a very smart touch. As far as the bad, the polygons are very simplistic, and that's a sign of the times. It's not one of those games that I think you would want to go back to if you were a graphics snob because of how simplistic the graphics end up being. Not to mention the frame rate as a result of being a primarily polygon-based game is very chuggy. We're talking maybe 15 frames, probably not even that, maybe 10 frames a second. It's very low. And that can result in a little bit of a hitch in your ability to read whether or not a laser beam's about to hit you. That said, I did think that the sense of depth in the game is actually not too bad. I know that 2D games especially have always struggled with that, a sense of placement of depth if you're trying to simulate a 3D environment in a 2D space. A lot of that has to do with whether or not they provide shadows underneath a ship or an obstacle or an enemy, and making sure that they are accurately representing the depth that the object is supposed to have. In this game, despite the fact that I think the only thing that provides a shadow is your ship, you still have some sense of depth. So that, I guess I would go in the plus or the good, not necessarily the bad. The enemy ships are kind of boring. There's not a lot of detail to them. I mean, it is just polygon ships, so it would have been nice, and they had to work with what they had, the technology to work with. It would have been nice if there were some more biological enemies in the game. I think you actually do see them depending on the different paths you follow. I think on the hard one there is a level that's technically the dinosaur planet, quotey fingers, that you may know if you know your GameCube history from the Star Fox Adventures game or whatever it was called. That's the planet that Fox goes to play that really generic third-person action platformer game. It is actually represented in this game. I believe the planet's called Fortuna, but they also more accurately just call it the dinosaur planet. As far as the ugly, I don't know if the character models that they have in the little windows are of the highest quality. They're okay. They're not great. I don't know if they really represent the characters that they were meant to portray very well. I get it. It's, they spent all their resources on making the polygonal graphics in the game, so I don't know if they were all that worried about making the models all that detailed. Yeah, not a lot of uglies. I mean, other than the polygon graphics, but I put that in the bad. I think just objectively, it's not aging well, and there's not a whole lot you can do to avoid that. It's the Super Nintendo. They did the best they could with the chip processor that they created exclusively for use in this particular cart and the other 7 that ended up using it. And that's something that we didn't go into when I was talking the details of the Super FX chip. The history is that this first model of the chip was actually improved upon in subsequent game releases. They actually made them a little bit beefier, a little bit more powerful in subsequent releases. And we will be looking at a couple of those games, not only as Rental Regrets episodes, but also as Nop's Collection episodes. So we'll get to see how the Super FX chip improved over time with those subsequent games, or in some cases, how no matter how much they improved the chip, it didn't affect the performance of the game itself, or maybe the developer got a little too ambitious. Let's go ahead and give the game a score. We do our score in Randars, 1 to 10. I had a lot of fun with this game today. Now, part of that, of course, is because I played on easy and I didn't die a single time, and also didn't lose a wing, which would have frustrated my attempts at finishing it, but I enjoyed it, and I think despite the limitations of the graphics, this is still a really good game. I'm going to give it an 8. 8 Randars. I think this is still a great game. It's short. that I guess could go against the game. I didn't mind the length because, again, if you just beat the game and you're like, man, that felt like a short experience, I was hoping for more. You have 2 other difficulties you can try. And guess what? The game does not get easier on those difficulties. It's a challenge. I think I've beaten medium. I don't know if I've ever beaten the game on hard. It's very challenging. You have to get really good at timing your barrel rolls to reflect laser blasts on hard because everything is shooting at you. Towers, monsters, ships. I did say they didn't have very many biological creatures in the game. They're all represented polygons, so it can actually be very difficult to say, is that supposed to be a living creature or just a ship that looks like one? In any case, on hard, it is a very hard game, so there is some replayability if you beat the game on easy and you're like, that was it? That felt like kind of a short, cheap experience. But given the graphical capabilities at the time, the work that went into the game to make it a fun experience, because if it was just, generic space shooter, I think it would have been okay, but adding that little extra touch from Nintendo, anthropomorphic animals and fantastical world, and when Nintendo waves their wand over stuff, sometimes maybe it unfairly gets a little boost in the score. In the case of this game, I don't know if I would have wanted it if it wasn't made by Nintendo. And I know that sounds a bit unfair, but I don't know if I would have looked at this and went, this game looks kind of boring. And because Nintendo made it and featured it in their magazine, I was like, well, I'll give it a shot. And it turns out it was a good call. Even if they didn't add those little touches, the little anthropomorphic animals and the fantastical world that they expanded on in subsequent games on the N64 and so on, that I would have ever played it. But I did, and I enjoyed it. This is a fun game. 8 Randars, I think, very well earned. That's going to do it for this episode of Nubs Collection. As always, I do appreciate each of you watching, and I will see you next time.